If you're a startup, early stage company, or just a company who has to do more with less, whose revenues are not working the way you want them to work, so you've got to just figure out how to grow and you need that exponential growth, but just can't find the right formula, find what works, well, then come along for a ride today because we're going to talk about that because marketing matters. Hello, my name is Bill Arnold. I am president of Prevail Marketing, and every single day we give you ways to grow your business through better sales and marketing. You may find us at prevailmarketing.com, and I encourage you to go there and check us out and see whether or not you find something that you might want to talk to us about. But before you make that journey, before you make that trek, please like, please follow, please subscribe. We're trying to build this channel. We need your support and help. So let's talk about the one thing that, oh my goodness. In fact, I just had this conversation yesterday, honestly, that somebody basically said, hey, I need you to do some content marketing for me. And I need you to distribute this because I need some growth. I don't have a big budget, but do some social, do some content. And I said, wait a minute. That's not how it works. First thing we do is do a deep dive into your business, figure out where you sit in the industry, what your it factors are that we can work with, what makes you special, unique, who your buyer personas are, and then we craft a strategy. It probably will, most always will create content and social media, but if that's all you want us to do, stay home. It's not going to get where you need to go as quickly as you need to get to go there. That's the key. You need velocity when you grow your business. You need speed. You need to grow at a rate that keeps ahead of the bills and encourages investors to find you. And one of the things that you can do is use earned media. Yes, leveraging a lot of different things out there to bring you into the mainstream, bring you into the discussion, if you will. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this over a series of videos, not every single day back to back, but over a course of a week or 2 weeks. We're going to talk about how to generate an earned media program that's going to really change your stars. And that's really what you need to do. You need to leverage it because you don't have enough. You can write a lot of content and still not move that needle. But why is that? Because it's less about what you say about yourself and more what others say about you that matters. People will believe a third party, particularly if it's a respected person in the news media, radio, TV, magazines, publications, or an influencer, or an expert. They're going to believe them over what you say. So if you can craft a way to get into that narrative, to get into that story, to get into that discussion, where it looks like you're just part of an ongoing trend, or you're just part of a news item that's coming up, wouldn't that be more powerful? Wouldn't people start taking note? Now, we're not talking about PR. We will have a conversation about PR. That's coming. But this is not public relations. This is not you putting out a press release saying, hey, this is what we're doing, or hey, pick this up in this newspaper. That's not what we're talking about. There's a place for that, a very, very important place for PR. Don't get me wrong, it's huge. And it's a lot more than just doing that, by the way. We'll get to that in another session. But this is basically where, well, let's talk about it. Let's start here. Earned media is getting an influential publication, media outlet, or influencer to publish an article that it looks like they created. It looks like it came from them. It looks like they generated it. Not something that looks like it came from you. It's not an editorial. It is a legitimate news story, and that's what makes it so powerful. That's what gets it into the limelight. Because what happens when that takes place? If you see something in the news media about, well, I'll give you the case I've used before. The Stanley Cups. Somebody, not Stanley, originally put the information into the public media about Stanley Cups and how good they were. Stanley picked up on it, amplified it. They should. And then it got picked up by every single news outlet around the world. Radio, TV, press. It got picked up on all the social platforms. It went viral. That's what earned media is. Earned media is getting someone else to do that heavy lifting. It's getting someone else to do that work, to make you look good, to make your product look good. That's something you want. Has a lot of advantages. Credibility and trust. Because it's not coming from you, it's coming from somebody else. Instant credibility and trust. They're saying it. They've got no reason to say it. They're an independent news publication. They're saying something good. Must be true. Well, not everything in the news is true, but it's that perception that it is. Highly cost effective. I mean, you're not paying for this to be placed. You're not paying anyone to submit that. Now doing a lot of work up front to get it to happen. Don't get me wrong, and that does cost. But the actual publication is not something you pay for. It's going to increase your brand awareness huge. And as I mentioned, I mean, here's the reality. So it gets picked up, it's going to be disseminated, it's going to be amplified. I mean, one of the things I talked about the Stanley was not just that original post by somebody, that original Twitter, I guess it was, but the amplification it got across all the news channels, across all the TV, radio, press, all the social platforms, retweeted, reshared, constantly, making Stanley look so damn good. They couldn't have bought that kind of coverage. They could not have put out a press release. They could not have put out a paid ad. They could not have created a piece of content that says, hey, look at this, and gotten anywhere near that. But you can orchestrate that. It doesn't have to happen just naturally. Okay, we're going to get to that in a few minutes. Why is this so important? I always talk about the numbers because, I tell people, look, if I tell you something, you don't have to rely upon me to believe. I'll give you third-party statistics, if you can believe statistics, right? I'll give you third-party statistics that kind of prove the point. 92% of consumers trust earned media above all other form of advertisement. That's Nielsen's, excuse me. 20 to 40% of all traffic and demand generation comes from earned media, press farm. Because 35% of the people use ad blockers, you got to find another way to reach them. Paid ads don't work as well. 63% of people talk about the products they learn through earned media. 81% post about them. That's the amplification. 306% increase, 306 increase in conversions for earned media over paid media. It's that much more effective. 70% higher click-through rates are generated by earned media. This Moz and Social Media Today said those. So the point is, it works. Let's talk about why and how it works. Well, it used to be, back in the day, the news cycle was a few hours, come around the next day, another news cycle. Now our news cycles are continuous. They don't end. And they don't only with just three main news stations, they're with thousands, tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands, different news sources. Everybody is commenting on the news, sharing the news, posting the news. You've got some big ones, but everybody is sharing news. The news cycle doesn't end. And because of that, you know what they need desperately? Content. They need content. And without that content, they don't have anything to talk about. I mean, that's why this works. That's why earned media. And what you need to do is you need to set up the system where you're sharing that content with the right news person, the person who sources the news, to get your brand, your product, or yourself in the conversation. I'm going to go into far greater detail about how the process works in another video, but I'm going to summarize it here for the sake of just bringing people on board. You have to make relations with a lot of different news people, radio, TV, press, magazines. You need to build those relationships over a long period of time. You also need to use artificial intelligence to figure out what things you can tap into. We track keywords, we track journalists, what they're writing about. We track a lot of different things. Hundreds of thousands of different things come up for a particular client, and we track, hey, this is an opportunity to place your product or you as an expert and having that discussion. Think about that. We've done this before. We've got people to place on some of these business news channels, these talk shows, not really talk shows, but they're panel discussions where they're talking about the news or happening trends of the day, news of the day. We've gotten our clients in that discussion as the expert, as the person that they're saying, what is going to happen and what should we do? Think about the credibility that gives your brand. If your CEO or someone else in your C-suite is having that conversation. When someone's going to look to buy something that you sell and your competitors sell, they're going to think, this guy is so important, is so on his game that this station has asked them for their opinion. Maybe I better talk to them first. You can do that with the same with your brand. We've had lots of brands where things came up in discussion. I won't go to talk, but one was a safety in schools. Easy to get, client has a product, natural way to get them in that discussion, isn't it? Those are the kind of things you have, but you have to build those connections up front. You have to build that relationship, and you have to build up that particular individual as an expert well before you want to insert them. We go through that process with our clients. We get them to that point. We're going to talk about that again in more detail. The point being is, if you want to get exponential growth, if you want to do it without paying a lot of money, if you want to do it in a way that is controllable, you need to do other things than just content creation and distributing that. You need to do other things other than just paid demand. You need to leverage somebody else's time, energy, talent, reach, and reputation. Influencer marketing does that. Earned media can do that. A lot of other things can do that as well. So, if you think this is valuable to you, come along with this ride. We're going to have, I said, probably about 3 or 4 different sessions, and we're going to get down to the actual, this is how it's done. If you want more information, we've got a blog on this topic on our website, prevailmarketing.com. Come back tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to talk about, well, I'm going to give you a heads up tomorrow we're going to talk about. Tomorrow we are going to talk about the Trojan horse of marketing. What gets you in that door behind that people will actually pay attention? Interested? Show up tomorrow. We'll talk about that. Have a good night. Thank you.